Extreme Championship Wrestling, better known as ECW, has always been a powerhouse of creativity. The number of athletes that entered ECW as total rookies and ended up being the biggest names in the wrestling world. Of course, they have their contribution, but hey, let's not forget it was all ECW's creative team that brought out the best version of these superstars. From Cyrus to the Sandman, we are gonna show you the best ECW reinventions ever. Make sure to watch till the end because the last one is absolutely gonna rock you. So without any further ado, let's get rolling. Number 1, Al Snow. Kicking off our list with wrestling's best kept secret, Al Snow. Starting his career in the indie circuits, Snow had a hard time finding the perfect gimmick. It took him almost a decade to be part of a good promotion, Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and bad luck for him, it was dying at the time. He would team up with Kane there, but soon switched to WWF, where they would give him the worst possible gimmick, a Mortal Kombat character. Yeah, quite literally. All this really did not help Snow even a bit of fame, fans. No chance. This is when he knew he needed a change and therefore signed a contract with ECW in 1997. Even though his first gimmick was lame and gave out mid-card vibes, it was his revamped self that the fans bought so well. He had a mannequin head around with him all the time, apparently from which he took all the advice. He did whatever the head said, and soon fans would bring their own plastic heads to hold them up during Snow's entrance. He went from a jobber to one that fans loved in just weeks. Crazy. Number 2, Cactus Jack. Mick Foley is a wrestling genius. He has it all. Excellent mic skills, the ability to take the highest amount of risk for the business, and of course, the best gimmicks. Even before adapting to his Cactus Jack gimmick, Mick had one of the funniest and entertaining promos. He was just fun to watch, and the fans adored him. However, ECW wanted Mick to go more extreme. They wanted him to be one of the hardcore guys of the company, and therefore, Cactus Jack was created. The alter ego of Mr. Foley would be even more crazy than his past versions. Not only would he cut extremely entertaining promos, but his in-ring recklessness would increase too. Even more jumps, risky moves, and thrills from him. Cactus Jack was an instant hit with the audience. This version of Mick Foley still remains one of the favorite gimmicks between many, many OG wrestling fans around the world. Number 3, Shane Douglas. Just look at this guy, his facial expressions, that blonde, long hair, and that smile. Shane Douglas was a total babyface at the beginning of his career. He was a total stereotypical babyface, and there was absolutely no wow factor about him, even though he was a brilliant wrestler. Once he signed with ECW though, he had found his inner brilliance, which he would showcase to the world. He would become a heel right after joining ECW, and the change in gimmick was accompanied by a change in hairstyle. His promos would be significantly better when he was spitting out all the poison against his rivals. The antagonist gimmick worked really well for him, and soon titles followed as he was all over the main events. Through his excellent in-ring and backstage skills, he had earned the title for being one of the best heels in the history of ECW. Number 4, Taz. Every one of you who follow AEW certainly knows Taz, don't you? He is currently one of the main commentators in the franchise, and my man is doing pretty well. However, the all-calm, nice, and funny Taz you know today did not exist in the 90s when he used to break bones with his suplexes. He joined ECW in 1993 with his bear-like costume and painted face, which he would call the Tazmaniac. He was just throwing suplexes everywhere, and to be honest, it was all boring. He was basically an even boring version of Braun Strowman. Just think of it like that. ECW quickly understood that this gimmick would not do any good to Taz's career, and therefore they would transform him to Taz. Just simply that. His more human-like gimmick would be accompanied by a greater arsenal of moves and submissions. This would ultimately make Taz more popular and finally see him starring in big matches. Number 3, Raven. Raven was the dark side of ECW. He had an authentic character which was charming to a portion of the audience. Sure, there were other wrestlers with long hair, ripped jeans, a bad mouth, and some rock band t-shirts, but it was Raven who was the king of all of them. Raven was the king of mind games, a pro version of Bray Wyatt. He would always be talking about misery and pain with a riddle vocabulary and philosophical thoughts. His depressing dark promotions would win the heart of many, since a lot of young age people related to his life-related talks. It was not only his mic skills that made him popular though. He of course had what it took to stand on the top inside the ring as well. However, before he was Raven, Scott Levy had one of the worst gimmicks ever. From WWF's stupid Johnny Polo to WCW's Scotty Flamingo, they were just too bizarre. Number 2. The Sandman. The Sandman is one of the biggest stars to wrestle in the ECW ring. He was in the heart of all the teens who would follow wrestling in the 90s. A can of beer in his hand, puffing cigarettes, and the absolute bloodlust in his eyes. He was just an extremely cool character to the audience back then. But long before this ruthless Sandman was a thing, Sandman used to be, a literal Sandman. Like, really, he had a Beach Boy theme and used to roam around with a surfboard. This was just awful. But it all came to an end in 1994 when he had a heel turn and became the Sandman we all know today. Not only did he turn into a total bad boy, but also changed his theme song to an absolute banger, which the crowd would scream every time he came into the ring. If you've made it this far and have enjoyed today's video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to be entered into our monthly shout-out giveaway. Once you do it, comment "I subbed" down below. Number 1. Steve Austin. It was in 1995 when Austin was fired from WCW after his 4-year-long career there, and would go on and join WWF the same year later on, where he would become the biggest icon the wrestling world has ever seen. However, in between these months, Austin was in ECW for 3 months with his manager, Paul Heyman. It would be a lie if I say it was ECW that completely transformed Austin to a champion. However, it was definitely in ECW where Austin flourished his inner creativity. He would have gimmicks like Steve Mania, which were ultimately hits until he went to WWF and found the best gimmicks ever possible: Stone Cold. Be sure to check out WWE Chairman Vince fires his son, Shane, and I'll see you guys in the next video.